Scientists have issued a red alert. Autumn of 2025 threatens to become the coldest in decades, with icy winds and heavy rains replacing the usual warmth. Yet, this is only the surface of a global climate upheaval. While the United States battles the Hurricane Erin, which has shattered records for rapid intensification, its remnants head toward Europe and could strike Russia and the continent again as an additional blow. In parallel, scientists are coining terms we have not heard before: climate horror, temperature collapse, weather roller coasters, and experts say this has not happened in more than 1,000 years. They warn to brace for the most unpredictable season in meteorological history. And this is only the beginning, because winter of 2025 to 2026 could prove an even sterner test for the world. What lies behind this climate madness? What fuels the strain on the familiar rhythms of life? And how will it affect each of us? Forecasters sound the alarm. Already at the outset of autumn, Moscow and the central regions will face a sharp chill, and that is only the start. What alarms meteorologists most is the speed of change. By the third decade of September, temperatures may fall to 3 to 5 degrees, 4 to 6 degrees below normal. But the temperature shock is not the only issue. After an anomalously wet July, many had hoped for a dry autumn. Yet nature prepares another unpleasant surprise with the first part of autumn, bringing not only cold but extremely heavy rainfall, lasting 3 to 5 days in a row rather than brief showers. High humidity paired with cold will make it feel as if it were not September but November, and a rain umbrella will become essential while a warm jacket is needed in the early days of the month. St. Petersburg will share Moscow's fate, but the northern capital has its own challenge. Proximity to the Gulf of Finland will push humidity higher, and growing northwest winds will turn the city into a proving ground for those venturing outside without warm clothes. Yet the sharpest swings await the Urals and Siberia, where early autumn may boast near 20 degrees, but soon the thermometers show 13, and by mid-autumn down to 10. Such rapid changes will threaten not only people but urban life as a whole, affecting agriculture, transport, and municipal services. Meteorologists point to several interlinked factors that will make this autumn a true survival test for the country. The leading driver of the looming climate nightmare is the early intrusion of Arctic air masses. Normally, cold northerlies drift into Russia in October or November. But in 2025, Arctic air surged south at the end of August, as if a white door had wandered across Red Square in midsummer. The second culprit is blocking anticyclones over the European part of Russia. Gigantic invisible bottlenecks in the atmosphere disrupt the usual airflows, acting like traffic jams that trap entire climate systems. The most insidious factor is human-driven climate change. Paradoxically, it heightens the frequency of sharp cold snaps and makes atmospheric processes more chaotic and unpredictable. Roman Villefont, head of the Hydrometeorological Center, explains that air masses once followed stable routes. Now their trajectories are erratic, like drunken pedestrians. Warm southern air can surge north without warning, and Arctic chill can descend into central regions. Then comes the truly alarming part. Studies show the current state of climate systems is only the tip of the iceberg. Ecologist Alexander Rodin warns autumn in Russia will not feature the typical tropical hurricanes, but rather stronger winds of hurricane force across large stretches of the country. In some regions, tornadoes may occur, a rare phenomenon for Russian territory. While Russian meteorologists brace for autumn upheavals, their American colleagues have already faced an unprecedented phenomenon. Hurricane Erin, raging in the United States, in August stunned experts worldwide. In a single day, Erin intensified from a relatively modest tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane. The rapid strengthening left even veteran meteorologists speechless. Erin grew to twice the size of the average hurricane and ranks among the fastest-growing storms in Atlantic history. Experts call it potentially a turning point in understanding tropical cyclones because warmer seawaters linked to climate change will raise the odds of such rapid intensification. The gravest concern is that Erin is not an isolated incident but a foretaste of what will recur more often. The American Weather Service forecasts an active hurricane season with 13 to 18 storms, of which 70% will reach hurricane strength, and 3 to 5 will become major hurricanes of Category 3 or higher. The bond between American hurricanes and European weather runs deeper than it may first appear. The remnants of Erin are heading toward Europe and could influence the formation of cyclones that reach Russia, with forecasts suggesting they may pass north of Moscow and bring additional cooling in the first half of autumn. Europe finds itself in a particularly delicate situation. A long-range forecast published on the MK Weather Portal says autumn 2025 in Europe will unfold under a complex interplay of global and regional climate factors. It sounds scientific, yet in practice it means that no one can say for sure what to expect. Germany, in particular, presents an intriguing case where forecasters consult a mysterious century-old calendar for predictions. But the real drama is unfolding in the United States, which is experiencing one of the most destructive hurricane seasons in history. After Erin, meteorologists are watching a new atmospheric anomaly in the open ocean that could develop into a tropical storm named Fernan. The Hurricane Center warns that the surrounding environment may actually hinder further development of this anomaly. In plain terms, ocean conditions are so hospitable to hurricane formation that new monsters may emerge one after another. Some agencies foresee that 2025 could break records for the number of destructive storms, with total losses from extreme weather in the United States approaching $390 billion. Water temperatures in the Atlantic, the Persian Gulf, and the Caribbean have already surpassed historical averages, creating ideal conditions for rapid intensification. Experts warn that the season's defining trend will again be the swift strengthening of hurricanes, especially those forming near land. These near-shore storms leave little time to prepare, unlike those that begin far at sea and can surge from modest to catastrophic in mere hours. One of the most troubling scenarios is a replay of Hurricane Ian in 2022, when the storm intensified from Category 3 to 5 just hours before landfall in Florida. In 2025, such surprises may become the norm. Yet the danger extends beyond coastlines. Erin carved a path nearly 1,000 kilometers long, from the Texas coast to the northern part of New York, leaving more than 60 storms in its wake and affecting inland areas. Forecasters warn that inland hurricanes are likely to rise in number, forming closer to shore as cold fronts push into the Gulf of Mexico and create rotating zones over warm waters. An unprecedented pattern is forming along the coast as powerful cyclones approach land. Scientists warn that the highest risk will hit the northern and eastern shores of the Gulf of Mexico region, the Carolinas, Atlantic Canada, and the northeastern Caribbean basin. A feedback loop unfolds. Warm seas feed ferocious hurricanes, their remnants crossing the Atlantic and disrupting atmospheric circulation, which in turn fuels even more extreme ocean conditions. Now we must confront what these climate upheavals mean for ordinary people, and the outlook is far from hopeful. A sharp cold spell and prolonged rains will force residents in cities to rethink daily life. Utility systems have already sounded alarms, and heating plans designed for October may falter against sudden early autumn chills. Millions of Russians may wake to cold radiators while the outdoor air holds at 3 degrees Celsius. The transport network will be strained as sudden temperature drops and heavy precipitation create icy road conditions. Agriculture could face catastrophe, with rapid temperature swings during harvest, risking substantial crop losses and, in some areas, outright freezes. Expert forecasts warn that food prices may rise by winter. These shifts run deeper. Climatologists say such anomalies are no longer exceptional but the new normal. We may need to rethink seasonality this autumn, as similar processes unfold worldwide. In the United States, economic losses from extreme weather have already surpassed $350 billion in a single year. Europe braces for climate refugees as regions become uninhabitable, while sociologists note changes in behavior. More households stockpile essentials, and demand for generators and heaters surges. Autumn cataclysms are only a prelude to a winter forecast for 2025 to 2026, when temperatures in some regions could plummet to levels unseen for decades. December, usually milder, may begin with frost dipping to -20 degrees. As the new year begins, forecasts warn that temperatures could fall to -30 degrees Celsius or lower. For Moscow and St. Petersburg, such lows in December would be catastrophic, since those figures are typical of mid-January. Yet, this is only the beginning. January is forecast to be a month of real trials. Along with the usual frost, an onslaught of heavy snowfall and storms could paralyze major cities. Details will be explored in a separate update. Climate scientists connect these forecasts to a set of global factors. The main culprit is the weakening Gulf Stream, the Atlantic current that has long moderated European winters. Without this natural heater, Europe and Western Russia could become an icy desert. Even more troubling, researchers warn the Gulf Stream is now weaker than it has been for more than 1,000 years. If the trend continues, the consequences could be catastrophic. Deprived of the warm current, Western Europe would suffer far more extreme winters, with temperatures in some regions dropping by more than 20 degrees. Many northern European ports would freeze and cease winter operations. For Russia, the disruption would signal a new climatic era with harsher, longer winters. Spring could arrive 1 or 2 months later, and a shorter summer would fail to offset heating needs through the long cold season. In the United States, the hurricane season could persist and become one of the most destructive in history. Europe would also face an extreme autumn with early freezes and hurricane-force winds. Scientists describe this as a new climate reality, where extreme events become more frequent and unpredictable. Humanity must adapt to a world where weather no longer follows familiar rules, that is all.